everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Andrea, and today I have an update for the hashtag Pan Your TBR bookshelf and the Color Me Reading projects. Hashtag Pan Your Bookshelf was created by Amy from Curly Loves Beauty and Books, just as a way to try to work through the books that are on your to be read list. And Color Me Reading was created last year by Verity from Red Dirt and Stardust and Samantha from Makeup Mania and More. I think that's her channel name now. Kind of as their reading take on Cali Fab's Monochromatic Year Project Pan. This year they did change it a little bit. Instead of corresponding one color to each month, they just have a list of 24 colors, and just throughout the year you have to. Throughout the year you read books and you correlate, if you can, the books to one of the colors on their list. I skipped last month's update because I only had one book read. And I was considering skipping this one too because I only read one more book. So I've got 2 books to talk about for 2 months. Not the best, but I've been busy. Life happens, you know. So I don't know who did it this way. Maybe it was Amy or maybe it was Kim. I will have a list down below of everybody who is participating in either one or the other or both of the reading projects. But anyway, someone was they're kind of combining the projects where even if they read it for Pan Your TBR bookshelf, if it fits with the color for Color Me Reading, they're gonna count it for both projects. And that's what I'm gonna do because I just am not gonna read that many books this year. I can already tell. So I have 2 books to talk about. The first, I am going to correlate to the color teal on the Color Me Reading list, and I think I have a screenshot still. I'll insert a screenshot so you can see the list of all of the colors. But this one is for teal, and this is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. This is a book that my friend gave to me because she knew how much I wanted to read it. This is, well, I don't know. A God in Ruins was really good too. But they're different genres. So this is one of the best books that I've read this year, which, keep in mind, I've read 1, 2, 3, 4. I've only read 6. So, but it was so good. This, I don't know how much to tell you because it's one of those books where it's like, I don't want to say too much because it's really easy to say too much. I guess I will read you what's inside of the dust cover, just so you know what kind of book it is. But in a boarded-up house on a dead-end street at the edge of the wild Washington woods lives a family of 3. A teenage girl who isn't allowed outside, not after last time. A man who drinks alone in front of his TV, trying to ignore the gaps in his memory. And a house cat who loves napping and reading the Bible. An unspeakable secret binds them together, but when a new neighbor moves in next door, what is buried among the birch trees may come back to haunt them all. I'm not going to say it was so wildly inventive that I didn't guess like every single thing, but there's definitely enough like context for you to figure out what actually is happening. But it took me a long time to figure it out. And I think that's a good thing when you read a book. And I mean, I didn't go like, oh my God, like it wasn't something like that, but it was like, oh, that was really clever kind of a thing. And just basically you can't trust anything that is written in this book until the end of it. So I feel like I need to give more of a review, but I literally can't, or like it's just good, okay? If you like, it's not horror per se, although there are some horror elements in it. It's more of like a psychological mystery thriller suspense. Like, it's horror in the sense, how do I want to put this? It's horror in the sense that just because there aren't like ghosts and anything overtly supernatural doesn't mean that it's still not a horror novel, if that makes any sense. Anyway, if you're into that kind of genre, I mean, you know what kind of books I like to read by now. So if you like to read the same kind of books that I like to read, I think you will really like this. And part of the reason that my friend, I haven't looked because, you know, now that I own it, I don't need to. Part of the reason my friend gave this to me, because she had it, was I could not, like, it was on hold for so long at the library. I couldn't find it at Barnes and Noble. It's not at Target, which is the other place where, like, I buy books because, you know, there's a Target right by my house and I like to browse. But I can see why this book is so popular if you like this type of book. Like, that's pretty much all I can say. It was super, super good. I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I finished it so fast. The other book that I read, which I don't currently have because it was a library book, but I'll find a picture of the cover and I'll insert a screenshot. It was called White is for Witching by Helen, and I'm going to butcher her last name, and I should have looked it up before I started. I'm going to look it up right now. Hold on. Well, I looked it up, and it's Helen Oyeyemi. She wrote White is for Witching. This book was different. Like, there were definite... It was very confusing. I'll put it that way. It was good but confusing. Like, I would rate it 3 stars because, well, I didn't hate it. I finished it, but I was just like, it wasn't one of those books where I'm like, okay, I need to keep reading to figure out what happens next. I was just like, okay, well, I have a little extra time. Let's try to read a chapter. The narrative structure is a bit different. Again, she's one of those authors who really plays around with the narrator. So in one chapter, there can be 4 different narrators, and the way she switches from one voice to the next, it can be it's very obvious when it happens because the way she does it is they'll be writing, and then all by itself in like the middle of the page will be one word that connects like the end of the thought of the paragraphs above it and the beginning of the thought of the paragraphs below it. And after that word is where the narrator switches. And sometimes it can be very difficult to figure out who is actually, like, quote unquote talking. Because we're chatting about it a little bit in our Instagram group of just about the genre, more or less, and it's magical realism which I don't necessarily always have a problem with magical realism. It's just with this novel, I was just confused. There's 4 generations of women, and like the house is its own character, and it has kind of like this hold on the women in this family, and it doesn't like outright say that it turns them into quote unquote like vampires, but it kind of does. It's really weird. So I can't quite recommend it. If nothing else, it's worth a read if you like more, I don't want to say avant-garde, but if you like less structured narrative flows, because like I said, it changes quite a bit from narrator to narrator, and it was just, I don't know what else to say about it. It was not my favorite book. It wasn't as bad as Along Came a Spider by James Patterson. I don't know that I've read anything in a long time that was as bad as that book. So, I mean, that's kind of, it's right in between. It's in between. That's going to be my new benchmarks for these. Was it as bad as Along Came a Spider, or as good as The Last House on Needless Street, or right in the middle? And this one is like right in the middle. So do with that review what you will. But those are the only 2 books I have to talk about today. I am currently reading Plain Bad Heroines by Emily Danforth, and it was another one of those where it was starting to be a little slow, but I think I'm getting to a point where I want to read more, and then of course now I've got a ton of like work and other stuff to do where it's taking away from my free time and I can't read. But I'm hoping to have at least that one finished for the next update, and then hopefully one of the other ones from my Book of the Month book club, because I've still been getting like 1 book a month that I get to pick out, but I haven't been reading them. Which I will also, if I remember, I will leave my referral link for that down below. Like, it's not affiliated or anything like that. It's just one of those things where like everyone who signs up gets a referral link, and if you decide to sign up and you use my link, I think you get $10 off your first box and I get $10 off a box, which makes it like $5 for a hardcover book, which is not, for a new hardcover book, which is not bad. So that is it for this update. Short and maybe not super sweet, but I just have a hard time like figuring out how I want to talk about books without spoiling things. So these maybe aren't the most coherent videos that I do on my channel, but if you like reading, hopefully they're at least a little bit helpful to you. But anyway, that is it for today. I hope you are staying safe and sane and healthy, having a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.